Hello, everyone. So, hey, Karolis. Hey, Timas.
Hey,
Everyone.
Okay, it's the first time, first podcast, first for everything. Uh, so yeah, basically, actually, we planned to go live all together in one room in one, let's say, studio, but our office is closed, and this is going to be a true podcast, audio only podcast. So yeah.
Yeah, the
Uh,
pandemic really messed us up. We were really excited to give you a live, but let's hope the second episode, if it happens, will be live.
yeah,
Yeah, and fun fact about that, the second episode should be in Cyprus, right?
That will be
yeah.
insane.
Oh, well, let's see if we'll be able to talk when the time comes, because it's gonna be one hell of a party there.
Yeah, I guess so.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, actually.
So,
Let's see. Hmm.
so what's new? What's new in the JS world this week? Or
What's new in the JS world? So we have a lot of news. We have actually separated them into several topics. So first, we're gonna cover some major updates, some new frameworks. Then we're gonna cover new tools. Then we're gonna talk about one article that's really interesting about GraphQL. Then we're gonna share a bit more info about the event that me and Timas actually went to, Vilnius.js meetup, and we'll have some random fun things at the end. So this is gonna be our stream. Let's hope it's gonna be successful. And yeah, and our team. So I'm Edmundas. I am a React developer, uh, and we have Timas and Karolis.
Yeah, I am Timas. Hello, everyone. I am React and Angular developer.
yeah, and I'm Karolis. I basically develop mostly in React and fiddle around in other JS frameworks in my free time.
Yes, and we are from Media Park, so it's the best. It's the best company to work in.
Yep.
Uh, Without further ado, let's get into the major framework updates. And the first one is really, really interesting.
Yeah, I
Carol,
guess let's
the
start
stage
with the
is
most
yours.
major one. So the
Yeah.
most major update in the JS world is that Material UI 5 has actually been released. It released a bunch of new features, and it actually included a bunch of new features from the lab. So I don't know if you noticed, but Material UI actually rebranded itself. So it's not Material UI anymore, it's MUI now, and it has a new domain name as well, mui.com. So that's new.
Yeah.
They
It
also have
looks
a new
really, really
logo.
good.
Yeah, and they have a new logo. They redid their designs, and the documentation actually looks more amazing than ever now. And it's actually more readable as well.
Yes, but how much effort is it gonna take for us to update? We're all running Material of 4 and now it's 5, so I don't even know. Carlos, is there a lot of updates to do for us?
Well, did you check out the migration docs?
I think I have them open somewhere.
Yeah,
Let's just.
basically, the most major change, I think the hardest change for projects will be to switch out the versioning. So Material UI 5 actually now only supports React from the major version of 17. So that's
Oh,
one huge update. And I
oh yeah,
think for all
17.
and I think from for all projects that might be an issue, but I think that's one major thing. And of course, the styling changed a lot. So they actually moved from JSS onto the emotion library.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
actually they're using, I think, styled components. Well, basically it's emotion styled components. And they talked in their blog a little more about that their version of theming was a little slower, and that styled components is, well, it's used more on the real world. So basically we can see that they have a code mod plugin. So they can automatically change our code, and that's how it's gonna get changed. So you can see that they delete the make styles that I am familiar with, And then they add this styled, basically like styled component syntax. Uh, I'm not sure what to think about that. It's gonna take some new learning for me, at least.
Yeah, it will. I guess implementing this, I mean, they had their reasons to implement their new library. I'm not sure how many of you use the actual styled components and emotion, but it I liked it a bit more than JSS in the long run because of the entire because of how you write the actual styling.
Hmm.
So that actually made my life a bit easier. And moving to JSS from that, it kind of was a hard transition. So I'm glad. So I'm quite glad with this change, and I hope more people adopt it into their daily lives.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, I hope so too.
Yeah,
But
and I see there's a function adapt v for team, so you can use old team for when migrating to new material UI, so that might help to migrate it faster.
oh, is there?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
uh, yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, and I
cool.
actually think since they have all these integrations with V4 to make our lives easier, I think it should like for more high-end developers that actually like are introduced to Material UI, it shouldn't take more than a day to migrate from V4 to V5
Well, be
and be able
careful
to.
there. Be careful because you know how some people like to hack around. I think it's gonna break those things at least.
Oh yeah, well I mean if you wrote a project and it has some Material UI hacks in it, then you will probably need to change those places. But yeah, the feature I'm actually most excited about is the that you're now actually able to add your own custom variants into the Material UI components. So, for example, you're able to make a custom variant for a button or typography and add that styling globally without needing to extend that component using some random custom component. So
Oh
that's an
wow.
yeah, so that's an amazing feature to have, and you can globally add them now. And I'm really excited for it because this was a huge issue for me in the past.
Yeah, especially with TypeScript, it used to be really difficult to actually extend the theme,
Yeah, so
and now
now
they're
it's
supporting this.
yeah, now they're supporting this, and that's the most amazing feature they could have added. And they also like added a shorthand for style. Like, did you know how all Material UI components had the style prop that you could
This one,
add
right?
like anywhere?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this one. It will be so nice to use and more readable now. I don't know why, but it just made sense for me to instead just keep writing style to write SX. So I'm not sure why this made me excited, but it did.
Well, it saves like 4 letters. It's gonna speed your work up so much.
Yeah, it's double the development speed now.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm just wanna intrude a little bit for our viewers. If you have any thoughts, comments, questions, just drop them into the chat. I'm checking them from time to time, so we can discuss something if you want to as well. And if you don't know how to do that, you need to log in into Twitch, and then you can just post questions. So yeah, back to you, Karolis.
Yeah, back to me. Also, Material UI introduced a bunch of new components and features. The most now, if you needed, for example, to write a flexbox in Material UI, how did you do that? Basically,
Basically,
a class
box
name.
and display flex.
Yeah, now that will change. They have now we have a new component called stack, which is yeah, the stack component will this component will specifically be used for layouts like Flexbox. Uh, it actually has a bunch of cool features. You can add dividers, so that issue is gone. You won't have to hack around to add dividers into the Flexbox anymore, or add borders or padding or whatever. And as well as you're able to play around with the directions, the spacings, and if you scroll down a bit more, you're actually able to add responsive values as well. So this will use the default Material UI breakpoints So this avoids writing any custom CSS for spacing or directioning, which is amazing.
So
So
you
this
can
is
take
one.
basically any kind of style prop and then just throw your responsive values into it?
I'm not sure. I haven't tested this feature yet, but as I understood from the documentation, that should be possible now.
That's so
That's
powerful.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the Material UI's new features that is just gonna be insane. Um, as well as we actually imported a bunch of components from Material UI Lab. So, for example, you know those loading skeletons that you see on Instagram and Facebook or whatever when you load the posts?
Uh-huh.
Those are now actually inside Material UI and you can use them.
Lovely.
So that's one feature that we won't have to do customly anymore or import from an alpha version. So that's amazing. As well as we have a pagination, and as well as another thing is the pagination. Yeah, this one here. This pagination was quite hard to do in a custom way because it handles a lot of different cases. And to cover all of these usually took such a long time. So
Mm-hmm.
now to not be need to import it from the Material UI Lab package will be amazing and will speed up development for different pagination grids by quite a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, these look really cool. But I have one more thing. The new website has a really interesting tab, pricing. What's that?
Yeah, Material UI now has different types of licenses that you can get. Basically, the most like the general thing in licenses that you get is the Material UI support.
Mm-hmm.
So as you can see, if you scroll down through the different plans, the support is quite different. There's no, for example, for premium plan, you get issue escalation, your issues get solved faster, you get you get a guaranteed response time even. So this is why you pay that money to get that support. But Material UI 5 has a data grid. So if you use packages like React Table in the past, a data grid is basically when you pass on the data and you're able to define all the columns using a config file.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a very powerful component that Material UI has because it also is editable, it's selectable, and it's amazingly responsive and fast. So, and yeah, you can use arrow keys to navigate
Yeah,
around it.
yeah, I can
So,
see.
so with a license, you actually get the pro version of this grid. I'm not sure what the difference between the basic version and the pro actually is. I don't remember them, but I believe that if you have like a huge project that uses a bunch of data grids with like thousands of rows, this feature should be a must.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about it?
Yeah, well, it actually it looks so powerful, and I'm a bit afraid that it throws our own table implementation, the MP React table, to the ground. But let's see how they work together.
Yeah,
Because yeah, well, that's very very interesting, and of course, it's really nice to see that they are taking a very similar approach that we are taking in our projects because I think we have a few projects right now where we just use these configurable data grids, and it seems that it's a trend right now. So I'm not saying we started it because we didn't, but we might as well could have.
yeah. Well, I guess.
Yeah. So that's just a reassurance that we are going the right way.
So yeah, I guess that's the basic features. Oh, and also you have prop descriptions now in VS Code. So now you don't have to
Oh,
go into the documentation in order to see what a prop does. You can actually see them directly in your code. So
yeah.
that saves some time.
Yeah, I actually saw that they are improving developer experience as well as the user experience. And they've quite worked with an IntelliSense in VS Code that it should be much better to use.
Yeah, it is. I've tested it in my free time. It was quite nice to use now. I, I didn't need to check the docs as often as I used to.
Okay. Cool. So I think that's gonna be enough about material right now.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
we will post all of the links to everything that we discussed here today, so you'll be able to play around with it. But the short story is that we're gonna be migrating to this one, so be prepared. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Next up, we have a really interesting new thing. If I just figure out how to use this tab, okay, nice. Remix. Uh, so basically, this is a new React-based, I think, framework, and well, it's been here for a little while, I think, but I first heard about it in the Vilnius.js meetup with Ken C. Dodds, and he seemed to really love it. Uh, he uses this for his upcoming personal website, and it seems really powerful. It was built by the same team that built React Router, I think. Isn't that right, Timas?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, if I remember correctly. And basically, it's uh, a really
Yeah. It's written.
powerful. Yeah. And it's a really powerful framework that does server-side rendering out of the box, and it actually loads all of the data in the server side, and the data loaders actually go through the server side all the time. So basically, it's kind of a full stack solution. You just need to, well, they say here in their docs, you just need to connect your database. Well, that's their promise. And you can get the whole full stack web page based on React, and it works blazingly fast. It preloads everything, and it's really good for SEO. It seems that it works very extensively with meta tags, with server-side rendering, and well, actually, it promises a lot of great things here. And Timas, can I share the link that you showed me?
I think so. Yeah. And
So,
I
Timas,
think so.
can you explain a bit more about what it is?
Yeah. So we were at this presentation, and guy can see Dodds came to present us about testing, and he was showing his website, his new website, but it's not released. So it's the development server. So yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think we're showing the URL because he didn't want to show the URL too. Well, of course, who is Kenzie Dots? So do you know React testing library? Uh,
Yeah.
he wrote that. So
Yeah.
he's a really cool guy, and we went to this talk about him. But the most interesting thing about Remix here, because his website is on Remix, if you just quickly look at the network inspector here, everything is preloaded as you hover on the
We
link.
don't see inspector.
You don't see
Let
the
me share.
inspector? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay, so I'm gonna need to share the whole screen then.
Yeah, and I think Kent mentioned that some of these features that Remix has will be implemented in React Router too.
Hmm.
So like this
Yeah.
preloading.
So basically, if you want to go to workshops, see, I'm going, and I'm hovering. Okay, what
Maybe you
happens?
preloaded it before.
Maybe it's already preloaded. I don't know. Okay, let's just try that one again because it worked previously and it was
Yeah,
so cool. Okay, basically, yes, you see, I'm hovering and it loads new data. And if I click on it, it's already there. It's already basically it's server-side rendering in advance. Uh, I don't know what to think about it. It's super cool,
yeah,
but
it's
isn't
super
it
cool.
wasteful a
Yeah,
bit? Isn't
It's
it
mm,
not that
wasteful?
wasteful. No, I don't think it's wasteful. I think since it's server side rendering, it's fast no matter what. and preloading it on hover, if it's a link, since links are usually only in the navigation bar and nowhere else, it doesn't like affect the site's performance that much, but it increases the user's experience amazingly. Like, you're able to go to the website without waiting for a random loader. It's the best feature to have.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
blazingly fast. And it's not just static pages here. I think that basically this content, for example, this courses content, it is dynamic. It's loaded from the backend, and you
Yeah.
just don't see any loaders. There's no progress bars, nothing. You just have it. So that's super cool. And yeah, so that's Remix for you, and it looks really, really good.
But what's the drawback?
Pricing.
Yeah, the drawback is really interesting. So right now it's in beta, and if you're a single developer and if you have your side project, it's gonna cost you $250 a year. So well, compared to the scope of the whole project, it's not much. It's really not. But I don't know. For us to play around with it, I'm really used to open source products, so that's really interesting that you don't even have a free to use like version.
Yeah.
Yeah, it actually didn't make sense to me, since we live in a world where packages and frameworks and all other things get like updated daily, and new like things come out daily. And right now, to set up a project where you need to pay for a license for $250 a year, that's like killing the project before it even started, I would say.
Well,
Because
I'm sure that it has its own audience, but I would really like to just play around with it for my,
Mm.
I don't know, for my own personal project, because I usually, well, for example, Gatsby or something else, I just try that out on my personal portfolio website, but I'm not ready to just like spend 250 just to play around with it.
Yeah.
yeah, it makes no sense to do that.
Yeah, but if we see this catch on, if it's really that powerful, then we might even use it in our professional projects. Why not?
I mean, but we do need like a version to play around with, like a trial maybe,
Yeah, maybe
because
maybe there will be, but only after the release. So
Yeah. It's still in beta.
well, I guess let's look forward to that and see how it works then.
I guess so. So the next thing that I want to talk about is okay. So uh, Gatsby. So we all know good old Gatsby.js. It's a great framework for static site rendering, but it used to have this drawback where, okay, so I
Yeah,
just
we got a
I
question about Remix.
yeah, I just saw a question. Okay, can we use Remix with Vue? I'm
Um,
not sure.
for now, as I know, it's only for the React, but they are planning to integrate all other the frameworks, Svelte, Angular, and Vue too. So yeah,
Mhm. Yeah,
just need to wait on
probably
it.
we will, but right now, as I understand, it's React.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. So Gatsby.js. It is a great React-based front-end framework, and it has static site rendering. So basically, you render the whole content on build time, and then the browser just fetches your static generated files, and you prefill everything else with JavaScript. So its main drawback is that it cannot do dynamic things on like server-side rendering could do. So it used to be quite limited. But right now with Gatsby 4, I think that they have actually added server-side rendering. It seems like this Gatsby Cloud Worker is actually rendering server-side the dynamic content in addition to the static rendered content that it used to have. So that's really interesting. And it seems that it has all kinds of performance optimizations. Uh, the build times have decreased, and it's also some kind of, I don't know, query processing. So Gatsby used to have this GraphQL query where you fetch your data with, and when I'm reading this page, all of the new features and everything, uh, it seems a lot like Remix. Basically, it has this full-featured static server-side rendering, and it even I think has some really cool features. And if this preloading on hover is coming open source, then we might be getting the same features but for free.
Yeah, yeah, that would be good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that seems like it.
and also like Gatsby actually caught up with the trends like really quickly. So I'm very happy that they're catching up and like setting a new standard for development in the JS world. And let's see, maybe they'll even improve it later on.
Yeah, probably. So I think we all have a new reason to try Gatsby once again. I really liked it for static websites. I built a portfolio website with it, and it's just really, really fast because you get all of that static data. But if you also could get server-side rendering, then I think it's gonna be my go-to framework, well, my personally.
Yeah,
So yeah.
Yeah,
well, I'm not sure about Go 2 since we do have a lot of uh, other frameworks at this point, but it has its use cases.
Yeah, for
And
portfolios, for these nice things that you just want to build quickly and ship out,
yeah,
it might
exactly.
be. Yeah. Okay. So these were the three major news from major frameworks and updates. Now let's go to some new tools that we have. And Timas and Karolis, they found a lot of new tools. So I think I'll pass the mic to you then, Timas.
yeah. So the first one is SVGO. Yeah, it's very basic tool actually, for the SVG images optimizing. Yeah, you can use it as a CLI, or you can add it into Node script or some building script, and you can easily optimize your SVGs, remove comments, styling, yeah, and some empty text elements, yeah, just to clean up SVG so it will be lighter. So yeah, it's just a simple tool.
And it does batch processing too, so basically you can just really easily use it, I think.
Yeah, you can just optimize whole folder of SVGs.
Okay, and what are these plugins? Can I add them to Webpack directly?
I think so, yes.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, yeah. There is at the bottom. There is other ways to use SVGO. Yeah, just scroll down after this
Hmm.
table.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow,
So
that's a
yeah,
lot.
so you can add it as a GitHub action even.
An OS X folder action. Wow.
Wow,
So basically, it just integrates with your Mac OS. Nice. I'm gonna install that.
that's a great tool.
Yeah, that looks good.
It can come in handy. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
So
what's next?
the next one is the Vite. Yeah, it's the title of this tool is from the French language, meaning fast.
Oh, I
So
didn't know
it's
that.
yeah, so it's called Vite, and this is a front end building tool, and basically it's best advantage over other building tools like Webpack, Parcel is that it uses native ESM modules for development, so it doesn't bundle your application when you are developing. And hot module replacement is extremely fast uh, because it doesn't bundle your whole app. So yeah, it just refreshes that one file you changed, for example.
Nice. And it should be easier to debug then maybe? Because you don't need like source maps. if
Yeah,
it's running
yeah.
everything.
I think
Wow.
it's easier to debug. Yeah, because uh, modern browsers support these ESM modules, and when you are developing, you're using modern browsers. So yeah, you don't need to bundle and build and minify JS. Yeah,
That's cool. Can I use it with React?
yeah, it's framework agnostic.
Oh, okay. So I don't need to do anything like special magic to actually use it.
Yeah, yeah, it's great actually.
Nice. That looks good. Looks really good. So we need to see how that works in production, how it actually builds the production builds. But
With
for development,
builds with ES build, which is also faster for building because I think it's written in Go or Rust, but it doesn't check TypeScript errors or mistypes because the building process is not in JavaScript, so it can't check. But the idea why did it like that? Because when you are developing, you already using IDE, which shows TypeScript errors. So actually, you don't need to run and check twice. Yeah.
okay, that's cool. That's really cool. Okay, next up, what do we have? I think something called
Tasuku. Yeah.
Tasuku.
Yeah, it's basically a very simple task runner for Node.js. It's basically for some CLI scripts or just scripts for building, or for example, you can combine it with SVGO and optimize some SVGs. After that, you can clean up the folder. Yeah, so it basically has statuses: loading status, warning status, error status if something was failed. And yeah, you can update the title of it. It doesn't print out new line in the terminal. You can change it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it looks really clean. It actually the whole structure of the file reminds me a lot about unit tests.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
very similar to unit tests.
yeah, so it's supposed to be written really easily.
Yeah. I tried it. It's very easy and it looks very clear, the code. So yeah,
Can you directly run TypeScript files?
I'm not sure, but actually, when you're building a script, simple script, you don't need the TypeScript actually for simple
Yeah,
things. Yeah,
I think you're right. That would be an overkill.
yeah,
Yeah, it would be, but it actually looks like quite nice since you can actually run tasks and change the check marks and set the task to done. So it's much more clear to use this and just write those tasks, and it actually simplifies the process as well.
yeah. And I think you can show the status of your tasks in like percentage format. Yeah, in the parentheses. Yeah,
Oh, that's amazing! Like you can actually build like high quality task runners with this, and I think that's a must have in some projects.
yeah. When you're building some custom script, yeah, it's it's very
May, may,
useful.
Maybe we can write a task to actually build and deploy the MP React packages because it's
Yes,
really difficult to do
please,
it.
Yeah, yeah, we can do that.
please.
Okay, I promise I will try to find some time and write that automated.
Maybe we should let Timas write those deployments. I think if he already tried this and if he knows how this works, I think he would do a very good job.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would. I'm sure. Okay, what do we have next? Something
Uh,
called Google. Uh-huh.
okay, before I start with the Google ZX, how much do you write like Bash scripts?
Not much actually.
I don't really write Bash scripts. I usually just write a Node.js script because I'm not that similar with Bash syntax, though I should
Yes,
be.
same.
And my automated scripts are usually written in JavaScript, which is very, very weird.
Okay, so basically what Google did is Google released a ZX. So you won't even have to learn Bash language at the end of the day. You can simply use a JavaScript language and write those scripts in a file. Actually, Google made a new file type called MJS. Uh, with that file type, you can actually run all your JavaScript code inside Bash and execute any commands that you would need. So the variables are now more simple, the syntax is more simple, and it's actually more usable for us JS developers. Like, we don't have to go through like days on learning how to code Bash, and we can just simply use this. So that's something that I saw and was like, I am definitely using it, because it actually would automate most of my work, and would make my life a lot easier. Uh, what do you think about it after checking it out?
I see it has packages together without needing to import them, like chalk package. Chalk is used to color the terminal text.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
That's really nice, and there are other packages, so yeah, I can use
Is there
that.
a list somewhere of what packages you can use?
Yeah, it's at the bottom of the page, I think.
Oh, that's difficult. Wait,
You
wait, wait,
can
wait.
just search packages.
Oh, okay. Uh,
Yeah, so that's
oh,
really nice.
FS. Whoa, yeah, FS is really, really useful, and that's FS extra. Okay. OS paths. So these are kind of default. Okay, nice.
Yeah, so
So
maybe Edmundas, you won't need to write Node.js scripts anymore. You can simply write Bash scripts with ZX.
yeah, because
Yeah,
one of the most annoying things about if you write automation scripts with Node.js, you're left with package JSON and node modules in the same directory, and it's just not a single file solution anymore. But
Yeah.
yeah.
with this, I really see like really really easy scripting. I wonder, I wonder what the memory footprint is of it, because I could use it in my Raspberry Pi, which actually doesn't run Node.js that great because it has a lot of memory usage. But if the memory footprint of this one is quite small, then I could just use it to automate anything, basically.
Well, I'm not sure how small it is, but it will be smaller than Node.js.
I
So
hope so.
because it like runs, literally compiles into Bash code, so it should be fine.
Hmm, okay.
So okay, another thing is, how many times did you get a bug from a client which you had no idea how to reproduce, and you wish you were at that client's computer at that moment?
Basically, every second time that I get
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. So
My
basically,
first question is always, what browser are you on, and what is there? And then I download that browser, and then I check the inspect by myself.
yeah, exactly. Now well, according to this tool, you wouldn't need to do that anymore. Basically, what replay does is it records your browser real time while that bug is being produced, and you're able to review that recording with all the inspect elements and components. So if you scroll down a little, even
Mm-hmm.
more, even more, even more, there even a bit more,
Well,
uh, and hit React, you're actually able to use even the React components package, not package, sorry, extension for Chrome in this. So you can actually see the state of each component during that replay.
wow. So
So
that time travel made it really easy.
yeah, so basically, if a client, for example, finds a bug, all he would need to do is record that bug and send it to us, and we wouldn't need to ask any questions to that client, because we would have the entire console, the entire inspect, the entire network, all the elements, and we're actually able to check what the React component state there is in real time. So this solves a lot of issues and makes the workflow a lot easier. Uh, the drawback to this is the pricing. So it's still like quite expensive to use in different projects. But I think this is something we should take a closer look at, because again, it actually makes all the developer life a lot easier.
Yeah, and it's
But
actually not that expensive.
how does it differ from the free version? Because I downloaded the free version, I didn't check it really. Oh, so you
It's
can't.
yeah, it's actually you can add team members with the team plan.
Yeah, it
Uh-huh.
basically works as like, I, I know. Have you used tools like PO editor before, where you're able to have like a limited type of translation strings?
Oh yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah, so basically it's the same way. It's just if you pay, it solves that issue. It's the same concept.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'll make sure to try that out to see how much I think I can squeeze out of the free version, and if it's really good, then we might be able to, I don't know, look into that,
Yeah, I
because
think so.
it's not that much. I don't know.
It's not that expensive to use. It solves a lot of issues, but it also depends on how many clients and projects actually want to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. We got a question. Wallaby.js. What's that?
Actually, haven't checked that out yet.
I haven't checked yet. Yeah. As I see
Distraction
now,
free.
it's some tool in the IDE. Yeah, that it's for testing, I think. Yeah.
Oh, so it
Right.
runs the test immediately as you type.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty
Interesting.
cool.
Yeah, but it's gotta be just only unit tests,
Yeah. Yeah.
because even for integration tests, I think it's gonna be laggy as hell.
Yeah. And you can't really use it on Cypress tests, for example.
Yeah, Cypress out of the question.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
well, if you have a really good test coverage in your project, then sure, why not? But I think it's not the only tool that does that. I
Hmm.
think well, maybe I dreamt about it, but
I
maybe
think
I
I've
saw.
seen it too, something like that.
I think VS Code has some kind of a tool that also attempts to run your unit tests in real time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a really cool thing. I think we should talk about testing even more, especially after the talk with Kenzie Dodds.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
since I guess like testing is the most neglected part of all developers and of all projects, because people usually just try to optimize their work as much as possible and complete tasks as fast as possible. So
Mhm.
testing gets left behind usually, and we only like test in live environments and if it works. So this is something we should cover definitely.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, so next up, one more tool, and then we'll go to the fun stuff because it's already been nearly 50 minutes.
Yeah, I guess so. Well,
Okay, so what is that?
basically we have one more library for icons. I checked it out. I actually like this icon library more than Material UI icons, because of the majority and because of how many icons there are, first of all. Second of all is it actually, I like the way it looks in the code. You're able to simply use all those icons as components. You can do that in Material UI as well, but the imports are a bit better. So I checked it out. I run through some of the icons, and I think this is very useful because, for example, UX developers, since this has so many icons, UX developers and UI developers can, for example, go through this huge list and actually select those icons. And that would remove a big part of our job, where we actually need to export those icons from Figma. and then implement them in our code. So I think that's a major issue in general with how we use icons, and if we use any, and if we don't use any custom icons, to need to actually import them from Figma. So yeah, this is a library I would like to check out, and for other developers to take a closer look at, to make sure that it actually has all the icons that we would need for a basic project.
So it basically uses all of the icons from Iconify, right?
Yes, it does.
So each of these styles has four, three, maybe 700 of icons in its own. Wow, thousands, 6,000. Wow. Okay, so that's that's a huge number of icons.
Yeah, exactly. And when I checked it out, I've decided that if we ever need icons in the lab, and it's actually like really lightweight as well, so it doesn't cram up your project.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so that's what they say, on demand. So how do they so they only bundle the icons that you really actually use.
Yes. And I think this is something we should take a really close look at, and and see maybe this is worth using in a, a lot of the major projects that need a lot of icons, but actually they're not that different from the default ones that other apps use.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Okay,
that's one tool that I wanted to share.
that's really cool. Really cool. Okay, so we have some tools also prepared, but we're not going to be talking about them anymore because we're already at the 1 hour mark. So next
Yeah,
up, Timas, just briefly,
yeah.
what's
I found a article. Yeah, it's in this year, August 31, written about GraphQL adoption at PayPal. Yeah, it basically just tells about how they adopted, what was the reason to choose GraphQL. It's basically our overfetch data, some different naming conventions and different APIs because they used microservice architecture, as I understood, and there were small things named differently. So what they did, they used GraphQL as orchestration layer, and GraphQL server just makes requests to microservice REST APIs, but front end uses just one GraphQL endpoint and fetches it from them. And yeah, there's they talk about um, how they introduced it to developers and other teams. Yeah, it's a great article actually. Yeah,
I think it's really worth a read. We will post all of the links actually, but it also has some tips how you can start adoption at your own company. And from reading it a little bit, it seems very much something like we do as well. We first do a demo app, like a POC with GraphQL,
yeah,
and then basically, if we see the benefits, then we can actually use these standards. And I don't think that GraphQL is something to be feared of. A lot of people are a bit reluctant to try it, but I think we've already had some projects that are really successful with using GraphQL, and I'm just really looking forward to using it more and more.
yeah.
Okay, so our next news item, and that's just the second to the last one. So Vilnius.js. Uh, it's a really great community that organizes these kind of live events about various JavaScript topics from time to time. And on this Tuesday, me and Timas got to go in there live actually to be on site. It was held on Vic's office. So it was a really good experience. Maybe some of you also watched the stream. I don't know. And the speaker was, as I already told, Kent C. Dodds. So he flew all the way over here from USA, and he was talking basically about how to know what to test. And it was really interesting listening to him and sharing his experience, how he tests his uh, enterprise projects and how he does not test his own projects, for
Yeah.
example. And the main catch from all of this talk was basically this: do not test code, uh, do test use cases. So what does that mean is that you don't really need to have 100% code coverage with your unit tests. More importantly is that you test the way you're going to be using it, and basically just focus on the use cases. Because if you focus on just to cover the code with your unit tests, you get to testing the implementation details, and then it's just going to get really messy real fast. So basically, that was the main idea.
Yeah, and start testing the most critical parts of your application. Yeah, and sometimes, yeah, he told that that depends actually on the case, but you don't need the 100% coverage. You need to test most hurtful and critical parts of the job, and you need also to write code and make functionality and the features to ship fast. Yeah, so
Yeah, that's right. Actually, you basically, yeah, you don't need to start by actually covering everything. I think they're gonna be uploading the full video here. Just don't see it right now, but they promised to upload the whole stream because it was live streamed. So when it does, we will notify you, and you'll be able to just listen
yeah,
to it. It was really good experience for me.
and everyone from other countries listening, yeah, you can uh, always watch this Vilnius.js meetups online.
Yeah, and they're
Every
in
meetup,
English.
yeah, they are in English. Yeah,
Okay. So yeah, and the last thing, I think that Karolis found this, or
Yeah. Well, we all know that JavaScript is a great language and can do anything, and it's easy to learn and easy to write with, but it also has a lot of weird parts. So, for example, did you know that NaN, the value, is not actually equal NaN? That you actually need to check the type,
yeah,
and
I don't know.
it
I knew
it
that.
doesn't make
Actually, these kind of examples are the ones that I give to beginner JavaScript developers who just come and say that, oh, I'm gonna learn front end. I'm so excited. It's so fun. It's gonna be so easy. And I just show something like true is false, for example. Yeah, and they just get blown away. But I think it's really important to know these things. For example, this one, so simple, so messed up.
Yeah, and I think the more beginner developers learn these quirks of JavaScript, the better quality code they're going to have in the future. So if you have a moment in your evening, go through this list. And also, if you're a beginner JavaScript developer, there's this book series called You Don't Know JS. Uh,
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that too.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
and
actually learned all of these like fun things from You Don't Know JS. It's a really, really good thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
me too. And basically, the gist is that all JS developers should read this book series, because once you read it, you get such a good understanding of what's happening inside JS, and you're able to produce more high quality code, and you actually find a lot less bugs when you're developing, since you know all those quirks. So if you have a moment, start reading this, complete it, and you're gonna be a better developer at the end of the day.
yeah, and this
That's
guy Kyle
absolutely true.
Simpson that wrote this book, yeah, he also gives a great talks. Yeah, you can find them on YouTube. And I know he went to Vilnius some time ago to present some topic. Yeah, he's a great
Hmm.
guy too. Yeah.
Oh, Carl Simpson. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So yeah, just some fun at the end, and Yeah, you'll be able to just scroll through these things by yourself. But for now, I think that's it. Uh, that's gonna be enough of our live stream, and we're really at the 1 hour mark here. So I just want to thank you, Karolis. Thank you, Timas.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you too, Edmundas, for
Thank you
all of
both.
the efforts.
Yeah,
It was nice
and
having this talk with you.
yeah, it's actually fun. And yeah, well, the most important thing, just don't run away, don't run away. We need your feedback on this. So this is supposed to be a pilot episode. We want to see how it actually worked out. Uh, so I'm gonna share a Google form, and everyone listening, please just try to fill it out. It's like 4 questions, really easy, and just fill it out and help us improve the podcast more, because we really want to make this work. And if everything goes well, we will meet you in 2 weeks, straight from Cyprus, and maybe we'll have even live video translation, translation stream. So thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see
Okay.
you next time.
We'll see
Bye,
you next time.
everyone.
Bye.
See you. Bye.